what are your plans for the weekend? Armed with the freedom of unlimited exercise and driving to new locations, there are, in England at least, a few more options perhaps. Here at the Devil's Punch Bowl in Surrey, the viewpoint and trails are open, but the car park is closed. It opens on Tuesday. Even then, the toilets and the cafe will stay shut. It's all part of trying to strike a balance, easing up on lockdown, but discouraging the crowds.
We've taken a very deliberate, phased approach to opening, just to make sure that we can keep everyone safe, but also that we know and we can have the confidence with our own staff and volunteers that we can manage it well. We started off as small car parks this week, and as this week is rolling out, we're moving to the larger car parks. So the Devil's Punch Bowl would be a good example of that, as we have unfurloughed staff.
The public and those running attractions are getting used to operating in a greyer area than the black and white of lockdown.
We're really mindful of local sensitivities, and there are some places around the country who are really worried about having a deluge of visitors, particularly over the bank holiday weekend. You know, the Lake District's a really good example where, you know, there is still a quite high level of COVID cases in the Lake District, and they're understandably nervous. So we are trying to work closely with those local communities.
When it comes to what we should be doing, we already know there are different answers around the UK. England is staying alert. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland are staying home. But in terms of the impact of COVID, there may be further regional variations. Data this week from Public Health England and Cambridge University suggested that within England, different regions are showing different viral reproduction numbers, known as R. In London, modellers have put this as low as 0.4, meaning that for every 10 people infected, they'll pass it on to 4 others. Whereas in the North East and Yorkshire, this figure is double that, at 0.8. So 10 people with COVID-19 would infect 8 further people. When this reproduction number hits 1 is when the virus starts to accelerate. Today, Number 10 suggested lockdown measures could be eased differently in different places in England.
And welcome to Downing Street for the day.
But then we were told that the UK's R number had crept up to 0.7 to 1, albeit based on hospital data that harks back to 3 weeks ago. To add to the confusion, there are many unknowns about the virus, how many of us have had it, immunity levels and more.
The key thing to say is there's huge scientific uncertainty, and this is being, presented to countries all over the world. And so all governments across the world are operating with a lot of uncertainty, and the responses that they're choosing to adopt are actually political. It's how do you weigh, if you're looking at schools, for example, the public health expert who's telling you something with the immunologist, with the educational specialist, with the economist. And so it's really a political decision how you listen to each of these pieces of advice and knowledge on what we know, and then make a decision how you want to go forward.
In England, the decision was made to bring back staff who can't work from home, albeit to a world of distancing and extra cleaning. And there remains the question of how they get there safely. In London, TfL said today it plans car-free zones. The intention is to free up space for walkers and cyclists, making distancing easier on public transport, with data showing that travel is slowly rising. We're all learning to live with a new uncertain risk in our lives, but this advisor to the UK and Scottish governments says the public can handle it with the right guidance.
Actually, the evidence suggests that people are able to deal with uncertainty if you explain things clearly. And if you make it possible for people to adhere, then they will adhere. And what we need in this pandemic is a partnership between the public and the government, in which the government respect the public, in which they engage in what Nicola Sturgeon calls an adult conversation. And once you do that, then you are far more likely to get adherence and to get an effective response.
Stricter rules are, in some ways, more straightforward to follow. We will all need to adapt again as the country navigates its way out of lockdown.